Hi everyone, this is Jen from the Hingham Public Library. I'm going to show you how to make fabric carrots. This program is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access to library programs and services. You are hereby advised that no portion of this program may be recorded without the permission of the Hingham Public Library. The materials you'll need for this project are some type of orange fabric, green paper, newspaper, masking tape, scissors, and a hot glue gun. The first thing you'll want to do is cut your newspaper so that you're working with just a single rectangle. I'm using a grocery store flyer from the mail. So you'll take your newspaper starting in one corner and you'll roll that into a cone. This might take a few times to get the cone shape with one side being wider and one side being smaller, but once you get the right rolling technique, you'll be all set with that. Once it's rolled up, you want to tape that closed. Next, take strips of newspaper and crumple it up and go ahead and push that as far down into the cone as you can. The more newspaper that you add, the sturdier your carrot will be. Add as much newspaper as you can until the cone is completely filled to the top. Once the cone is full of newspaper, fold down the outside edges to give yourself more of a flat surface on the end, on the wider end. Next, cut the fabric into strips. I started by making a small cut on one end and then pulling the fabric to make a strip. Start on one end of the carrot, glue the fabric to the end of the newspaper. So it just gets folded over the end and wrapped around to cover up any of the newspaper. As the fabric is wound around the newspaper, secure it with additional hot glue. While the fabric is being wound, make sure that you are covering up all of the newspaper as you go. Try to keep the fabric as tight as you can while you're using your other hand to add the hot glue. There will probably be some spots where the fabric is bunched up, and use hot glue to just press that down. Continue adding fabric until the whole newspaper cone is covered. To cover the top, once you've secured the strip, fold the fabric strip over several times to enclose that. You might find a different way to do this. This is just what worked best for me. I'm also not completely covering up the newspaper at the very center of the top, as that's where my stem, the paper stem, will go. And again, keep covering it up, the newspaper, with the fabric. You can really use any fabric that you have on hand. It doesn't have to be orange. Once you get this shape and once you add the paper to the top, it ends up looking like a carrot no matter what color. So I just have that one section left. And keep the fabric nice and tight while you're spinning it around. Once you meet up with another strip, just overlap it. It's okay to have the bumps underneath. It's all gonna look like a carrot at the end. If you have a lot of excess, just go ahead and cut that off. The end piece can be tucked into some of the other fabric to help hide that end. And that's the base of the carrot. The next thing is adding the green to the top. I'm using construction paper for this. You could take paper and paint it green. You could use wrapping paper, scrapbook paper, anything that you have. Cut that into small strips without cutting all the way through to the end so that you have a base that will hold those strips together. This only needs to be wide enough to create a tube with the greens. So depending on how big your carrot top is, consider how wide you want this tube to be. I would suggest while you're cutting, do a little sample roll and see how much green you want, how wide you want the tube to be. You can adjust and customize that. Once you've trimmed all of those strips, go ahead and roll that into the tube. Try to make it as tight as you can so that the greens stay together a bit more firmly. Once that's rolled, you can tape that shut. This will all be covered, so you won't need to worry about the masking tape. Where I left some of the newspaper exposed, I'm just using a pair of scissors to make that hole a bit more pronounced. and then push the greens right into the top. Add some hot glue to secure it. And that's 1 carrot finished. You can make 3 carrots, 5 carrots. It's completely up to you. If you enjoy this process, keep going. You could make several smaller ones. You could make this into a wreath. Have fun with this. It's a different project, and it's a great decoration for the spring. Thank you so much for joining me for this project. If you have any questions at all, feel free to send me an email. I would love to see pictures of what you end up making.